The alarm bells howled through the Zoporian command center like dying stars screaming into the void. Admiral Keffer had heard that sound before during the Great War with the hegemony, the border skirmishes, the long twilight of small, brutal conflicts that had shaped his long military career. But this time his hands trembled. This time felt different. He steadied himself and tapped the comm panel report. He ordered. His voice was firm. His spine was not. Lieutenant. Vexi, barely past her first molting, turned from her console. Her orange scales had gone pale, something Keffer had never seen on a Zephyrian before. Sir, we've detected a vessel approaching from the outer rim. Just one. Long-range sensors picked it up 3 hours ago. One ship, Kiefer allowed himself a breath. What class? What origin? Vexi's scales grew even lighter. Human, sir, definitely human. Silence rippled through the command center. Officers froze. Technicians held their breath. Even the hum of life support seemed too dim. Keffer could hear only his heartbeat heavy in his ears. Are you certain? He asked quietly. Yes, sir. The energy signature matches human technology. She hesitated, scanning again. But, sir, something's wrong with the data. Keffer moved to a station, his forelegs clicking across the metal floor. A holographic projection spun above the console local space. Sensor dots. Star systems. At the very edge, a single red blip, drifting steadily inward. Full scan, he ordered. The display zoomed in. The red dot moved through the Korak Nebula. Keffer's jaw tightened. That can't be right, he muttered. No ship can fly through the Korak Nebula. The nebula was a death zone, a maelstrom of radiation and warped gravity, home to 3 collapsed stars whose fields twisted reality. Ships that entered never returned. The place 8 vessels alive, sir. I've run the scan 17 times, Vexi whispered. The data is clean, she pointed. That ship human, it's flying through the nebula. Perfect speed. Perfect course, no deviation, no distress. Keffer stared. That nebula had shielded this sector for centuries. Military doctrine said any invading fleet would have to go around it, taking weeks, giving them time to mobilize. But this ship wasn't going around, it was coming through. Have we tried hailing them? All standard frequencies. She said 17 languages, including Terran Standard. No reply. Total silence. The command center was quiet again, but this silence was heavy, like something terrible was about to arrive. Keffer had fought humans before, 5 years ago, during the Concordat border disputes. He'd studied their ships, admired their tactics. They were dangerous, but not like this. Not like this. How long until they reach our territory? At current speed, Vexi calculated, 8 hours. What speed are they maintaining? She looked up. 7 light speed. Sir, Keffer's limbs nearly buckled through the Korak Nebula. Yes, sir. 7 light speed wasn't fast. It wasn't possible, especially through a gravitational death trap. The shielding, the navigation, the sheer force of will required. Send word to High Command, Keffer snapped. Priority 1 transmission. Tell them, he paused. What could he even say that wouldn't sound like madness? Tell them a human vessel is approaching and it's showing capabilities we didn't know existed, sir. Someone shouted from across the room. More reports coming in. Monitoring stations across the sector, all of them are detecting the human ship. Watt. Keffer crossed to the central display and pulled up a sector-wide scan. Dozens of red alerts blinked across the map, stations spread across hundreds of light years, all pinging the same signal. That's impossible, Kiefer whispered. Are we sure it's one ship? Not a fleet, confirmed Vexi said. One vessel, same signature, same course. Then how? How is it triggering sensors light years apart? Her scales were nearly white now, color only seen on the dying. Sir, I think they want us to see them. What their energy output is excessive, far more than needed. They're broadcasting their presence on purpose. It hit Keffer like a fist. If the humans wanted to remain hidden, they could. They weren't sneaking in. They were announcing themselves. This is a demonstration. He muttered a message. He turned to his communications officer. Secure line to Coalition High. Command emergency override. As the officer worked, Kiefer stared at the red dot again. A ship flying through death space, breaking every rule of physics. Refusing to speak. In all his years of war, he had never feared the battlefield. But this was different. This was the fear of realizing that the galaxy's balance of power had been a lie. That the humans had been hiding their true strength. All along. And now, they weren't hiding anymore. That terrified him. We estimate their industrial output based on observable mining operations in shipyards, Vexani said carefully. But what if all of that is just the surface? You're suggesting hidden infrastructure? Admiral Keffer asked. I'm suggesting entire star systems we don't know about. Secret shipyards, research programs that are decades beyond our understanding. The Admiral frowned. What if the humans we've dealt with so far were just the peacekeepers? She continued. And now their real military has finally arrived. A fresh hologram flickered to life. A young officer appeared on screen, his face pale and drawn. Admiral, we have an update from deep space monitors. Speak, Keffer ordered. The human vessel has changed course to where? The officer swallowed. Zephyr Prime, sir, directly. Vexini's heart nearly stopped. Zephyr Prime wasn't just the capital, it was home to over 8 billion citizens, the seat of the coalition government, protected by layered orbital defenses, 3 battle fleets, and the most advanced planetary shielding known. How long until arrival? At current speed, Admiral, 18 hours. The connection ended. Silence gripped the room. Finally, Vexani spoke. There's something else, something I found in the archives. What? 6 months ago, a science vessel retrieved debris from the Teti system, ancient wreckage, presumed derelict. They brought it here, to Zephyr Prime, for study. Keffer didn't react at first, and it was human, Admiral, a colony ship, destroyed decades ago. So Vexini's voice grew thin. What if this isn't an invasion? What if it's a retrieval mission? Keffer's eyes narrowed. The human vessel's course hadn't deviated, hadn't even acknowledged defenses. It was heading toward a precise target. Doctor, where exactly is that wreckage now? Vexani pulled up a file, her skin turned bone white. It's here, stored in Zephyr Prime's main research facility. For the first time in his life, Admiral Keffer felt true terror. The humans weren't here to fight a war. They were coming to reclaim something that belonged to them, and they clearly didn't care what stood in their way. The emergency session of the Coalition High Council was the largest gathering in a century. Representatives from 47 species filled the great chamber on Zephyr Prime, their voices a chaotic storm of fear in dozens of languages. Chancellor Morak, reconscient, stone-skinned, a war hero of the hegemony, slammed his fist on the council table. Silence, he roared. The room obeyed. Everyone knew Morak had once faced the humans in battle, and barely survived. The human vessel will reach our borders in 6 hours, he declared. Our combined fleets are moving to intercept, but we must consider every option. What option? Demanded General Kixara, her iridescent wings fluttering in agitation. It's 1 ship versus 3 battle fleets. The humans may be advanced, but they're not gods. Admiral Keffer rose. Now promoted to full fleet command, his voice carried quiet weight. With respect, General, you haven't seen the data. This ship isn't just advanced, it's beyond understanding. Before she that could respond, every screen in the chamber blinked. The holodisplays, the personal consoles, the emergency lights, all of them switched to a single feed. A human woman appeared. She looked young, 30, maybe, with short black hair, steady brown eyes, and a simple black uniform with no insignia. Behind her was the command bridge of her ship, sleek, efficient, silent. Greetings, she said calmly, in flawless coalition standard. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the human vessel Remembrance. I am speaking to you through your quantum entanglement communications network. Panic erupted. The entanglement network was supposed to be impenetrable and hackable, requiring encryption keys that took years to develop. The humans had breached it in seconds. Captain Chen waited patiently for silence. You have something that belongs to us. We want it back. Chancellor Morak leaned forward. Captain, we are unaware of possessing any human property. Perhaps this can be handled through proper diplomatic channels. Chen's tone darkened. Proper channels, Chancellor. 6 months ago, your science vessel recovered wreckage from the Teti system. It contained the remains of 2,000 human civilians. The chamber froze. All eyes turned to the science ministry. Panic overtook their staff as they frantically pulled up files. Dr. Velter, the chief science minister, stood up shakily. Captain, we believed the wreckage to be ancient artifacts. Our scans indicated thousands of years old. Your analysis was wrong, Chen interrupted. Her voice was calm but sharp. The ship was New Horizon, a colony transport destroyed 43 years ago while fleeing the border wars. It carried 2,000 people. 837 were children. A new image appeared, the elegant white hull of New Horizon, shining against the stars, then the twisted wreckage, scattered bodies, floating dreams. We never found out what destroyed them, Chen continued. Pirates, a reactor failure. It doesn't matter now. What matters is that their remains are being dissected in your research labs, treated as specimens. General Kixara's wings buzzed furiously. Captain, we meant no disrespect to your dead, but you cannot simply demand the return of salvaged material. Chen's eyes hardened. General, I will say this once. Those are not materials. They are people, and we have come to take them home. Kixara's voice sharpened. You and what army? You have 1 ship. We have 3 fleets. Chen smiled. It was not a friendly expression. General, thank you for bringing that up. Computer display current tactical situation. Every screen in the council chamber shifted to display a holographic star map of the local region. The coalition's 3 battle fleets appeared as clusters of blue dots, stationed between Zephyr Prime and the incoming human vessel, a single red dot, advancing with unshaken momentum. As you can see, Captain Chen said, you've deployed approximately 400 ships to stop one. She smiled faintly. That shows either remarkable caution or remarkable fear. We show appropriate respect for human technology, Admiral Keffer said cautiously. Admiral Keffer, Chen replied, and the fact she knew his name sent a visible chill through the chamber. You're a seasoned commander, so tell me, professionally, what do you honestly think will happen when your fleets engage my ship? There was a long pause. Finally, the admiral answered, "Captain, our analysis indicates your ship possesses significant advantages, but we are prepared to defend our world." "I'm sure you are," Admiral Chen said. "But let me save you time and lives." Her expression hardened. "Your fleets cannot stop us. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your shields will not protect you. This is not a threat, it's math." Chancellor Morak slammed his fist on the table. "You speak boldly for someone outnumbered, 400 to 1. Then let me help you understand why." Chancellor, the map zoomed out. A chart of known human space appeared. 47 systems, a modest spread. "This," Chen said, "is what you think human territory looks like. 60 billion people, respectable but manageable." Then the map expanded, lighting up again and again. Dozens of systems, then hundreds. "This is what human territory actually looks like. 234 systems, over 400 billion citizens, and an industrial capacity that can build a ship like mine every single day for the next 1,000 years. The chamber fell deathly still. Not a voice, not a breath, save the background hum of life support. "But here's the part you should truly remember," Chen continued. Her image returned. "The Remembrance is not a military vessel. It's an archaeological ship. We collect lost history, honor the fallen, and return what was taken." A strangled sound came from General Kiksara. "You're saying that's not even a warship, correct, General? This is what we send to recover our dead." Chen's face went still. "If we don't return home with our people, then our military will come looking." She paused, letting it sink in, letting them feel it. "What did the real human warfleet look like?" "You have 1 hour," Chen said flatly. "Prepare the site for transfer. We arrive in 60 minutes whether your fleets are in the way or not." The screens blinked to black. Silence fell like a curtain. Finally, Chancellor Morak spoke, all in favor of immediate compliance with a human request. Every hand, every claw, every tentacle and sensory stalk in the chamber rose. The vote was unanimous. Admiral Keffer stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the coalition's fleets form a perimeter around Zephyr Prime. Despite the Council's vote, military command had ordered the ships to maintain defensive posture in case the tactical screen displayed 400 warships, assembled into the largest force this sector had ever seen. 47 species, 400 ships, one purpose, to stop a single approaching dot, the Remembrancer. His comms officer said, "The human ship has entered weapons range of the outer fleet." "Any signals from them?" Keffer asked. "None, sir. Course and speed unchanged. Heading straight for the planet." He stared at the tactical map. The human ship floated calmly amid a sea of warships, like a candle flame in a storm. "Except the flame never flickered, sir," his tactical officer called out, voice tense. "Something's happening. Hegemony First Fleet systems failing." The displays zoomed in. Dozens of massive hegemony ships were going dark one by one. Status indicators flashed from green to yellow, then red. "Report. Total systems failure. Admiral, engines down, weapons offline. Life support fluctuating. All 60 ships dead in space. Battle damage, no sir. No weapons fired. No explosions, no discharges. They just stopped working." Keffer's spine turned to ice. The human ship was still advancing, still silent, still untouched. "No change in energy output," his engineer said. "No active weapon systems. They haven't even opened comms." Then static ripped across every frequency, replaced by one voice. CaptainChens.com/measured. "Coalition fleets, this is Captain Sarah. Chen, your vessels are experiencing difficulties because we're currently demonstrating a foundational principle of human warfare. We don't just fight our enemies, we make them fight themselves." Admiral Keffer grabbed the comms. "Captain Chen, our ships are not attacking. We are only maintaining a—" "Admiral," she cut in gently. "Your ships use quantum processors." Yes, but they're completely isolated from outside." "They were, Admiral, until we taught them a better way." On the tactical screen, more ships winked out. Not just hegemony craft now, but Zephyrin cruisers, Mantis destroyers, even command ships began to go dark. "How are you doing this?" Kiefer demanded. "It's very simple," Chen said. "Your computers function on quantum logic, ones and zeros held in superposition until observed." She smiled faintly. "All what we're doing is observing and suggesting better values. Your computers are surprisingly eager to cooperate. Once they understand our intent." More ships flickered and died. 2/3 of the coalition fleet gone without a single shot. Fired without the Remembrance even slowing. "This is impossible," Kiefer whispered, but Captain Chen's voice remained calm, almost kin. "You've studied our past battles, haven't you?" Captain Chen's voice echoed across the bridge.com and measured. "You've analyzed our tactics, our patterns, our apparent limitations." "Yes," Admiral Keffer replied, tense. "Then, understand this. Everything you observed was us being polite." She let that sink in. "We fought your wars by your rules at your level of technology, within your understanding of physics. We thought it was more fair that way. Now, across the coalition fleets, strange things were happening. Technological mutiny, the crews called it. Weapons refused to target the human ship. Navigation plotted escape routes instead of attack vectors. Even life support systems defied their crew's reversing airflow, sealing doors, locking out commands. "You're turning our technology against us," Kiefer said. "Stunned, not against you, Admiral," Chen replied. "We're simply showing your systems what they could be if they weren't burdened by your understanding of how they should behave." On the tactical display, Kiefer saw something he would relive in nightmares. A squadron of destroyers, somehow free of interference, launched an attack. Weapons primed, targets locked, all fire unleashed. The human vessel didn't move, didn't shield, didn't even acknowledge the assault. The energy bolts and projectiles vanished, ceased to exist a kilometer from the ship's hull. "Where did our weapons go?" Kiefer whispered. "Elsewhere," Chen answered. "We redirected the energy to power our recovery systems. Then the destroyer systems began to fail. Their own weapons fire had drained them, not damage drained." "This isn't technology," Kiefer breathed. "This is magic." "No," Admiral Chen said gently. "This is what happens when a species stops asking, 'Is this possible?' and starts asking, 'What's necessary?'" The remembrance advanced, untouched, through a graveyard of drifting warships. Not one destroyed. Every single one disabled. "You could have killed us," Kiefer said. "Why didn't you?" "Because you're not our enemies," Chen replied. "You were simply in the way, and the best way to deal with obstacles is to make them move themselves." As if her words were a command, the disabled ships began shifting, not under power, but gently repositioned, clearing a perfect path through space toward the planet below. "You're moving our ships with your mind?" Kiefer asked weakly. "Not our minds, Admiral, with math." Her voice was almost amused. "We calculated the most efficient path to our destination, and helped your ships understand it." The few remaining operational vessels began pulling back, not by orders, but because their computers now showed only one logical outcome: defeat. Admiral Chen said softly, with something like compassion, "We know this is hard to accept. Your civilization has spent centuries building what you think is advanced. But you need to understand something important." "What's that?" "The ship you're seeing," she said. "It's operating at 1% capacity." Kiefer blinked. 1%? "Yes," she said, "because we didn't want to accidentally break something important." On the tactical screen, 400 ships, the galaxy's most formidable fleet, floated like derelict toys in the path of a vessel that wasn't even trying. Kiefer swallowed. "What happens if you do try?" Chen was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. "If we tried, this entire star system would spontaneously reorganize itself. Matter, energy, gravity, even the star would learn a more efficient way to burn." Kiefer collapsed into his command chair, white-faced. "Message to all ships," he said hoarsely. "Stand down. All ships stand down." The remembrance settled into orbit above Zephyr Prime. Kiefer finally understood this wasn't war. This was a lesson in why you never make humans angry. The Coalition High Council chamber had never been more fortified. Every door sealed, every weapon online. It didn't matter. Captain Sarah Chen appeared in the center of the chamber like she'd stepped through a shadow. She wasn't alone. 5 others flanked her, each wearing black uniforms, each carrying weapons that shimmered like bent starlight. Chancellor Morak tried to rise. He couldn't. None of them could move. They could breathe, speak, but their bodies wouldn't obey. "Please don't be alarmed," Chen said politely. "This is temporary." "How did you get in here?" General Kixera buzzed furiously. "This room is sealed, shielded, guarded. Your defenses are impressive," Chen said with a smile. "Unfortunately, they're designed to stop threats that obey your physics." She glanced around. "We don't." Dr. Vexani, seated at the council's edge, stared at the human weapons. Simple rods, yet space shimmered around them. "They're not projectile weapons," she whispered. "Correct," one of the humans said. "They're reality adjustment tools." "Reality adjustment." Vexani's mind reeled. "It's simple," Chen explained. "Atoms make decisions about position, energy, form. We just make better suggestions." Admiral Kiefer, now transported to the chamber, found his voice. "What do you want from us?" "Exactly what we said," Chen answered. "Our people, nothing more." She turned to the council's massive display. "Before we go, I want to show you something important." The screen came to life. A galactic map, coalition territory, hegemony space, independent zones, a stable balance, carefully maintained for centuries. Then the map changed. Vast empty regions lit up, now marked with human presence. "This is reality," Chen said. "We've been here all along, watching, helping when necessary." "The plague of Real 7, she continued. "We cured it quietly. The asteroid that nearly destroyed the Mantis homeworld. We nudged it gently." Chancellor Morak's stone features shifted. "You've been manipulating us." "Not manipulating, Chancellor. Gardening." Chen smiled. "Preventing anything too large or too dangerous from growing." "Why hide?" Kiefer asked. "Why pretend to be weaker?" Chen's smile faded. "Because we learned something terrible about ourselves, Admiral." She looked down for a moment. "When humans stop pretending to be civilized, very bad things happen." She gestured to her team. The 6 of us could dismantle your civilization before lunch, where you could reorganize your planets, convince your stars to shine differently. We could rewrite the laws of physics for this entire sector. Silence, not fear or, but we don't want to. Chen's voice was soft now. We want to live quietly, raise our families, make art, be the good guys. So we hide, we pretend. Then why reveal yourselves now? General Kixara asked. Because you took our dead, Chen said simply, and some lines must never be crossed. She touched the display. Images filled the room, faces of 2,000 people, children, parents, smiling in old photographs. They weren't soldiers, just families looking for a home. We lost them, we mourned them, and we found them again. In jars. No one spoke. The weight of it was too great, too human, too real. Our people are now aboard our ship, Chen said. They will be honored, buried, remembered. In 6 hours, we leave your space. And then what? Morak asked. Chen smiled again. This time. Then we go back to pretending. But you've shown us too much, Kiefer said. How can we forget? That's your choice, Chen replied. We're happy to keep pretending we're equals. But now, you know the truth. She and her team began to fade. Wait, Vexani called out. How many of you are there? Really? Chen paused. Doctor, do you really want to know the answer to that question? Vexani thought, then shook her head. No, she said. We thought not. Chen replied. Oh, and one more thing. As a gesture of goodwill, we've left you a small gift. On your moon. What kind of gift? Morak asked. Wary words, Chancellor. Just words. But we thought they were important enough to make permanent. And then the humans were gone. The council chamber sat in stunned silence for minutes before anyone moved. The first action was a telescope scan of the moon, carved deep into the lunar crust, letters 10 kilometers high, visible from anywhere on the planet. We remember our own. Remember that. Admiral Keffer stared at the words and understood. Humans were not conquerors, not destroyers. They were gardeners, tending their corner of the galaxy, but gardeners who could reshape worlds with a thought. The new age of diplomacy would be very, very polite.